folks, here we are again for the weekly forecast. Of course, during the early part of the week, we did have another significant weather maker move across the state and dump some significant moisture across portions of eastern Nebraska. Lesser totals as you got out into central and southwestern Nebraska, and of course we've seen some snow accumulations once again up in the northwestern portion of the state into the western portion of the Sandhills. Now we've seen some impressive warming this last couple days, and that's expected to continue at least into the early part of next week before we see another funnel boundary moving its way in from the northern plains. So overall we should see some good drying weather this weekend, and I would suspect that we will probably see a kick up in planting activity as we progress into the early part of next week. And then we'll have to wait to see how this precipitation with this system bears out. But by all likelihood, it does look like the worst of the precipitation will hit eastern Nebraska and miss most of western Nebraska. So let's get a look at the models and see what we can expect as we go through this next 7-day period. And as we go to the upper air model, what we'll show you here is that there is some energy over the Great Lakes, and we do have some ridging pattern. The very warm air has moved into our region. We're expecting a very nice day today. Pretty much everybody should be in the 70s. And as we go into tomorrow, we'll see that the frontal boundary tries to sag its way across the northern plains, and that might bring a little bit of cooler air into the northern part of the state, and we might see temperatures drop 4 or 5 degrees, but certainly across the southern part of the state we'll be looking well into the upper 70s to possibly even some isolated 80-degree weather. Don't think we're going to see much in the way of any significant activity, but we may actually kick some off as we get into Monday. As we start to see this energy moving down toward the plains region, there may be during the evening hours of Monday some isolated thunderstorms, particularly in northeastern Nebraska and maybe even into east central Nebraska, but it's going to be very, very widespread. Now as we get into Tuesday, we see that the energy starts moving its way down, and there is a possibility, depending on how quickly this front comes through, that we could see some isolated severe thunderstorm activity across eastern Nebraska, but fairly dry conditions across western Nebraska, and we'll start to see the cool air come into the northwestern part of the state during the late afternoon. Now as we get into Wednesday, we're going to be looking at most of the energy directed over central and eastern Nebraska, and we are looking for a stratiform type precipitation event, and depending on which model you look at, anywhere from a half an inch to possibly even up to an inch and a half if we do get a few claps of thunder across eastern Nebraska. And then this system is expected to rapidly move to the east and pull most of that cold air down, and then this low will cut off. So in eastern Nebraska, depending on where this overall cutoff low sits, may determine how quickly we warm up as we go through the week. But on Friday, what we are seeing is that low cuts off, and then it's going to meander around for a couple days. And if it backs up, we'll see cooler conditions. If it moves to the east, we'll see a rapid drying trend. So let's take a look at what we expect for temperatures. We're looking at some very nice conditions this weekend. Not that much in the way of any significant moisture until we get into Tuesday, where we have isolated thunderstorm activity that may be severe across eastern Nebraska, turning to a more stratiform type precipitation event on Wednesday. And then we see clearing and gradually warming temperatures on Thursday and Friday. The 8 to 14-day forecast indicates the cold air will sweep to the south. And in terms of precipitation, it looks like drier weather is on tap.